and we're live. All right, another 30 seconds or so on your bell ringer. We'll talk about it and then move on to our assignment check for today. Oh. Are we familiar with inequality symbols?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do we remember about those symbols? Let's look at the very first one. -4 is, what is that symbol saying about -4? Greater than, right? So the way I like to think of it is that Pac-Man. So if that's the Pac-Man's mouth, right? Is he eating the greater than, the number that is greater than the other? So is -4 greater than 0?
No.
Nope, so that'd be a false one, right? So one for free for you. Again, don't have to get it right, just want to see what you know already. All right, well, let's have our assignments out, and we'll get started on the assignment check. All right, so let's pass out. I want to pass these out. That would help. Yes, Levi? You have that as well? Perfect. So remember, when you turn these in, turn them in at the front table so that we can stay out of view of that camera as best possible. I'll pull the problems up here in a minute, and then you'll have 10 minutes on a timer to finish up the assignment check, which should be plenty. Right, there's 5 assignments, 1 problem for each. They come at the end of every note section. All right. Here we go, up on the board. These are your problems. 10 minutes. We'll start here in a second. Get this going in the right direction. Alright, 10 minutes off the ground. Here's your problems. Fill out all the work that you have on each one of those problems. Make sure you label what assignment it's from. So 1.4, number 36, 1.5, number 21, translating instructions worksheet number 11, application problems worksheet 1, number 8, application problems worksheet number 2, number 4. So again, we'll just have you turn them in right here on the table when you're done. And if you finish before the 10 minutes, just go ahead and turn them in. Yes, it is. Again, make sure you label your assignments. Say what again? Bottom of the notes. 5 assignments. So here's this way. And then here's 1.4 assignment. Always at the bottom of the notes listed. Some of them have very little work to show, some of them have a lot, like 1.4 has a lot of work to show. Whereas translating expressions, not so much work. Make sure you have everything that you have. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to hand out today's notes as well. Apologize, they're not hole punched or the normal color, but Print Center did not get them back to me in time, so I had to print them off of the regular printer. Worksheet 1 was the first one that we gave you. Had, I think, 9 problems on it. Worksheet 2 was the second one. I believe it has 7 problems on it. Finish up, just set them right here. Make sure your name's on them. Copy. Or down, we copy it over.
Whoa.
90 seconds to finish your final problems. You get a copy over. You need to get your assignment checks turned into the top table. Right there for today. And then we'll jump on to the notes for today. Beginning our new chapter. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about chapter 2. Which is really all about inequality. So specifically today in 2.1, we're going to talk about writing and graphing inequalities. Right? Writing and graphing inequalities. So our learning objective for today, we'll learn how to write an inequality and graph an inequality. So we're going to be talking about translating those English sentences into inequalities, and then we're going to talk about how we graph them specifically on a number line. So words we need to know. First one is inequality. In your own words, what is an inequality, Wyatt, in your own words? Yeah, an expression that isn't necessarily always equal to each other, and it's either going to be what then what? Greater than or less than. Now we also have our greater than and equal to, so it could still possibly be equal to, but we're talking about expressions, which is a really good term, recalling from last time. So specifically, it's a mathematical sentence that compares expressions. So I love that you used expressions there, Wyatt, because that was what we talked about last chapter. So it's a mathematical sentence that compares. It's comparing one expression to another. Our other word, right? Oh, and the other part of it usually contains those signs. Greater than or less than, as Wyatt said. Also greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. So when you see an inequality, it's going to have one of those four symbols. It will never have a straight equal sign because that makes it an equation. Our second word, solution of an inequality. What do you think solution of an inequality is, Caden? It's something that makes that inequality true. The value that makes that inequality true. Now, the thing about inequalities that is different than equations is there might be more than one value that makes it true. Actually, there's almost always going to be more than one value that makes it true. Whereas an equation, typically there's only one value that makes it true. So a value that makes the inequality true is a solution of an inequality. A couple other words, solution set. So this might be a new term for us. Solution set. And this is simply the set of all solutions of an inequality. So the solution to an inequality is a value that makes it true. A solution set is all those values, right? All those values of an inequality that make it true. And that's known as a solution set. Our fourth and final word is graph of an inequality. Levi, what do you think graph of an inequality is? Yeah, specifically a graph. And what was that key term on how that I used earlier when we talked about what it's going to be graphed on? Do you remember, Brooke, what I said? Number line. So it's the graph of an inequality on a number line. So it shows the solution set of the inequality on a number line. So it's going to show you all those values that make the inequality true, and it's going to show that through a number line, how that looks. And we're going to talk about how to create that, as well as how to look at it and tell what the inequality is. So that's what we're going to be working on today. So again, graph of an inequality shows the solution set of the inequality on the number line. These are vocabulary words you're going to hear throughout the chapter, so make sure we're starting to familiarize ourselves with it. Alright, so let's move on. So writing inequality. So this is very similar to translating expressions, but now we're going to have the inequality symbol involved with it. So a four-step approach with this. First step, read the problem. Sounds familiar, right? Just like how we translate expressions, just how we worked on our application word problem. We read the problem first. Step 2, identify the keywords and the inequality symbol. So now keywords are important, but so is the inequality symbol that they're talking about. We've got to identify both of those things now, right? And there might be more than one keyword. Third thing, choose a variable if needed. Sometimes they give us the variables we've learned. Sometimes they don't, so you get to be an artiste and choose what variable that you like, right, Austin? Austin's an X-Man, but no pun intended. Step 4, write the inequality. So now, once we've identified the keywords, what inequality symbol they're telling us, we've chosen a variable if we needed to, then we write that inequality and what it will look like. So those are our 4 steps, pretty similar to translating expressions, pretty similar to application word problems. So let's do a few. So first one, a number w minus 3.5 is less than or equal to negative 2. So when I look at this, I'm saying, all right, what are my key words? And what is the inequality symbol that they're telling me? Well, here's keyword of number w. All right, that's a key word right there that I'm recognizing. So there's my variable. I'm not going to have to assign one. Got another keyword here of minus. That symbol is a, what symbol is that, Karen? Yeah, negative or a subtraction symbol, right? So I've got a subtraction symbol. Then I've got a number of 3.5. Then it says less than. Boom, less than. That's important. That's our inequality symbol. So when I see that, I'm looking at that and going, all right, there's my inequality symbol. And less than looks like this. Faces away from what was going on. Because Pac-Man is going to eat the other side if it is less than. Or equal to, right? Or equal to. So a lot of people miss that. Right? Less than or equal to. So it's not just less than, but it also has an equal to sign underneath it. Right? So we got to catch those words. And then final value they gave us was negative 2. So right there, I've identified everything I think I need to identify at this point. Do I need to assign a variable in the third step? Nope, that's done for me. So final thing I do is write my inequality, which would be, according to this, w minus 3.5 is less than or equal to negative 2. Boom, done. So fairly simple process, right? Nothing overly complicated. So let's look at the second one. So second one says 3 is less than a number in plus 5. What's the first thing, Lane, that sticks out to you think is important? 3. So we've got a 3 right there. So I'm going to just put a little underline on it. 3. What's the next thing, Destiny, that stands out to you?
Less than.
Less than. So right there I've got a less than piece of information. So that's telling me that I need a less than symbol. And what does less than look like in this case? Is it going to face the 3 or is it going to face away from the 3? Face away, right? Pac-Man eats the other side. Right? What's the next piece of information, Cadence, that you see that you think is important? A number in, right? So they gave us a variable there. So I'm going to underline that. So I recognize number in. And then last thing you see why you think is important?
Plus 5.
Plus 5. So I've got a plus 5 right here. All right? And what does plus mean? That means add, right? It's pretty simple stuff we've gone through. So my final equation, Vince, read it out to me. What would it look like?
3 is less than n plus 5.
Yep, so how would I write it? Walk me through it as if I don't know.
So 3.
3, good.
Pac-Man symbol going to the right.
Nice.
And then n plus 5.
N plus 5. Boom, awesome. All right, next one, guys. You guys do it. We'll check it in 1 minute. All right, we'll check it in 1 minute and see how you guys did. Oh, that should say plus 5. I apologize. Not sure what happened on my copy. Should say plus 5. Check within your group, see if you guys came up with the same looking deal. Is your inequality symbol looking the same? All right, Sierra, what'd you come up with? Tell me what you got and I'll write it down. 0.
0.
What's that look like? Facing which direction? Facing the 0, okay. Pac-Man math, line underneath. 2x plus what? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking about the other one. It's plus 1. I apologize. My apologies. I thought she was asking about the other one. Yeah, it should be plus 1. I'm not sure what happened on the worksheet, why that 1 is not there. But it should be 1. My apologies. Very good. So this is what we should look like. 0 is greater than or equal to 2x plus 1. So we had to assign the variable in that one. What? That's fine. Yep, you get to choose the variable if they don't give it to you. Yes, Lane? Yep, make sure you sign out, take a pass, the appropriate pass. Alright, so let's move on to the next part. Checking solutions. So how to check if solutions satisfy the inequality. It sounds really wordy and significant. It's pretty easy. You've been doing this your whole life. So first thing, substitute the value in for the variable. So like in our last one where we had 0 is greater than or equal to 2x plus 1. If they were asking us about the number -2, we would put -2 in for x, and then we would solve to see what that came out to be. All right? So that means the second one, then we solve that inequality. So then we solve the inequality to see if it's going to come true. Third step, does it come true? You need to decide, all right? Does my Pac-Man eat the correct side at the end of that? All right? Or is he eating the incorrect side? Yes, then it's a solution. That tells you right there, yes, it's eating the correct side, so it's a solution. If no, then it's not a solution. So if your Pac-Man's facing the wrong way at the end of that, after you substituted in that value, then no, that is not a solution to the inequality. So fairly simple process. Again, you've probably been doing this a lot of your life without even realizing it when you're checking things. So let's do a couple of these examples. So is -4 a solution to the following inequality? So we're just checking for -4. So first one, I've got x plus 8 is less than -3. So again, first thing, substitute your value in for your variable. So I'm going to put -4 in right here. And I'm going to put it in for wherever I see an x, which is the very first thing. So I end up with -4 plus 8 is less than -3. Is less than -3. Second step, solve it. -4 plus 8. What is that, Shiloh? -4 plus 8. -4? Positive 4, right? 4 negative and positive 8. So there's greater. So I end up with 4 is less than -3. Is that true? No. Nope, not true. So not a solution. Because 4 is obviously greater than -3. So fairly simple process. You guys do the second one. Discuss in your group if it is or isn't a solution. So your problem is -4.5x is greater than -21. We're seeing is -4 solution to that. You might have to put it in the columns and multiply it out. You got a decimal in there, and that can make it tricky at times. Alright, another 10 seconds or so, and then we'll check it together.
Is there a symbol for like no solution, but not a solution? Or just have to write it out?
You have to write it out. There's a symbol for no solutions, like nothing works, but for inequalities you just write not a solution. Or if they say true or false, you can do that, just depending on what the instruction says. Good question. Alright, what did we come up with, D, for that? Is it a solution, and what was your final thing that you ended up with?
I said it is a solution, or that 18 is greater than -21.
18 is greater than negative 21. So when we put in negative 4 for the x, negative times a negative is a positive, so we know our number is going to be positive. 4 times 4.5 is 18, so we ended up with 18 is greater than negative 21. One's a positive, one's not, so right there you already know it is true. So really good job. Looked like as I was walking around, everybody was getting it correct. How are we so far with checking solutions as well as translating them from sentences? Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, middle, kind of where you're at. Good, we're all right. So let's move on then. So graphing inequalities. This one could be a little bit trickier. There's a few more steps, but it's really not too hard. So step one, we're going to choose a number to the left of the number in the simplified inequality. So that's like when you get x is greater than 6. We're going to choose a number that's to the left of 6 on a number line. So 5, 4, 3. Doesn't really matter. Usually I just choose the one right next to it. So 5 would be a good deal. We're going to substitute that in for the variable, and we're going to see if the inequality is true in that situation. All right, that's going to give us a key. So we substitute in a number that's left. Then we're going to do that same process for a number to the right of 6 on the number line. So I might just choose 7, just the very next number. And then we see if that inequality comes true. Some of this you'll be able to do in your head depending on how simplified that inequality is and how simple it is. 3, if the inequality has an equal to portion, then the number in the simplified inequality is also a solution. All right? So if it has an equal to portion, so that little line underneath the greater than or less than, then you got to remember that that value they gave you, so in my ideal of x is greater than or equal to 6, 6 would be a solution to that inequality because 6 is equal to 6. Fourth thing we need to remember, all right, we're going to look at our number line, and we're going to start with the value listed in the simplified inequality. So again, in my example of x is greater than 6, or greater than or equal to 6, I would start at 6, and I'm going to draw a circle at the 6th spot on the number line. If there's an equal to sign, we color in that circle, and we make it a solid dot. Right? If there is not an equal to sign, then it will leave uncolored. Right? So it's just going to be a circle with no filling inside of it. Right? That's important. And then the last thing we do is we draw an arrow off that circle in the direction that was true. So if it was true moving to the right, then we would put a circle at 6, and we would move an arrow, draw an arrow, off the side of that moving to the right, or vice versa. So this sounds really complicated. As we go through it, this will all fall right in line, and it's a pretty simple process. So again, big thing is it a filled-in circle or is it not? Because that determines your symbol, right? And then, which way does the arrow go when we draw it on the number line? All right, so let's do a few. That's the best way to get the hang of it. So graphing inequality examples. Y is less than or equal to -3. All right, so right now I know that when I go to put this in, that -3 is a solution to this. So right there, I can draw a -3 on my number line. I can go in and I can draw a circle and fill it in. So right here, -3. Now again, I have to look to the left of the number and plug that in for y. All right, so I'm just going to choose -4. And I'm going to write it out. -4 is less than or equal to -3. Is that true? Yes, it is, right? So that is true. -4 is less than -3. If we're at $3 in the hole, all right, or $4 in the hole, $4 is worse, so that would be true. Then I plug one into the right of it. So -2. So I'm going to choose -2. -2 is less than or equal to -3. Is that true? That's not true. So that means that my arrow is going to go in the left direction. So I draw an arrow, and boom, right there. So filled in dot because of the equal sign, that's a part of the inequality symbol, right? And then arrow going to the left, because when I substituted a number into the left, it was true in the inequality. So that's our process. fairly simple at this point, right? We don't really have to change the inequalities at all. So second one, 2 is less than x, right? 2 is less than x. So on my number line, when I draw my circle here, right, is it going to be filled in or is it going to be empty on that side, Jamie? Empty, right? Because there's no part of an equal sign. So at 2, I'm going to draw a big circle that is not filled in. Right? So right there. Then I need to pick a number to the left and then a number to the right and see which one comes true. So let's choose a number to the left. What number do you want to use to the left of 2 on the number line, Sierra? 1. Right? So we're going to plug that in for x. 2 is less than 1. Is that true? Nope. So that's not true. Let's choose one to the right. What do you think, Austin? What's the number to the right you want to use? 3. So we'll plug that in. 2 is less than 3. Is that true? It is. So where is my arrow going to go? To the right. Boom. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You guys do the third one. Let's check it together and see how we're doing after that. All right, what does it look like? Wyatt, walk me through it. What's my...
It's an open circle above 0.
Above 0, good. On the number line, very good.
And an arrow going to the right.
Arrow going to the right. So some of these you probably could just look at and be like, that's where I need to go. But if you're not sure, throw those numbers in. So if I threw -1 in and said -1 is greater than 0, not true. If I threw 1 to the right of there in, if I threw 1 in, 1 is greater than 0. Yeah, that's true. So that would help me get to where I need to. So some of them, again, you'll be able to look at as we progress. You're probably going to need to substitute in to figure that out. Good. So where are we at on that process? Are we good? Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down, sideways. Where do you think? Good? All right, awesome. We're in a good shape right now. All right, so let's move on then. Right? And talk about writing inequalities from graphs. So now we're going to look at graphs and then write the inequality off of that. Right? So my process, on how to write an inequality from a graph. First, find the circle and determine that initial number. That'll be fairly easy. Look where the circle is, look at the number underneath. Right? Decide the inequality symbol based on that circle. Is it going to be only greater than or less than? Is it going to have the equal sign? So is it filled in? Is it not? That determines if it's going to have that equal sign portion. Right? Third thing, assign a variable. So they're not going to give you a variable, so you get to choose if you're an X-man like Austin. Right? You've got special powers, and that has nothing to do with math. Or you might just use the letter X for your variables. Right? And the fourth thing, we write the inequality. Right? So we write the inequality. So fairly simple process. Just make sure we understand those 4 things we need to do as we go through it. And a lot of these you just got to do in your head, or you can read it off that and go through. So let's look at these. Let's look at 3 examples on this. All right, my first one. Right, I'm just going to draw as best I can. Actually, I'm going to move to the board for this because it'll just be a little hard to write small enough. All right. On this one, I've got. Hopefully, this is the one. We'll say I have 50 right here in the middle, 51, 52, 53, so on and so forth. This way I got 49, 48, 47. That should be enough to work with for right now. So those are the numbers we're working with. This is what it looks like. It's got a dot right here, filled in, going to the right. So it's going to the right. That's what it's going to look like right there. It's going to be on 48. It's going to be on 48. So that's the first thing we've got to do is determine, all right, what is that number? As Cece just said, it is 48. So I know I'm going to have a 48 in my inequality. So right there. What else is important about what's at that 48? What?
Circle's filled.
The circle's filled in, so what do we know is going to be a part of the inequality symbol?
And equal to.
And equal to. So we're definitely going to have that part. Now we've got to figure out which way is it going. So is it getting bigger than 48, or is it getting smaller based on that arrow? Bigger, right? So that means everything on this side is going to be bigger, and which means now I need to assign my variable. What variable do you want, Jamie? X. So that means X can be equal to 48 or anything larger than 48. Anything larger than 48. When you graph, right, your numbers need to fall, or excuse me, your line has to fall on the number line. You don't graph it above the line, it's on the line. All right, here's our next one. We're going to use similar numbers right here. We'll say middle one right here, 50, 51, 52, 53, 49, 48, 47, so on and so forth. And it's got open circle at 52, heading to the left. So first piece of information I need to identify, Levi, what is it? Where it's at, and it's on the what number? 52. So right there, I can write my 52. What's the next piece of important information, D, that we need to know?
What type of circle it is?
What kind of circle? So what does that circle indicate to me about the inequality symbol?
It doesn't have an equal sign?
Doesn't, so I already know I'm not going to have an equal sign. Then we need to figure out which way is it going to face. Is it going to eat up the 52, or is it going to go the opposite direction? So then we look at that arrow and we determine that. So which way, Brooke, do you think the inequality symbol is going to go? It's going to go left towards the 52?
Yeah.
So 52 is greater than, what variable you want, Adriana? B? All right. I'm a B, sorry. All right, so here we go. So this says 52 is greater than B. So if I put 51 in for B, is that true? Yeah, 52 would be greater than 51. 50, 52 is greater than 50. So boom, go in that direction. All those solutions, right, all the way through anything less than 52 is going to satisfy that. So here's the last one. You guys are going to do this one. So let's go 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's your problem right there. Write your inequality. Check with your partner, see if you came up with the same thing, and we'll check it here together in about a minute. All right, Cece, what'd you come up with? Talk it out to me. What was your inequality you wrote? Less than or equal to y. Is that true? If I put -5 in for y, would that be true? It would be. So this is a correct inequality. How do we feel about that? Pretty good? All right, here we go. Your assignment's at the bottom. Scan the QR code, answer the question before you leave, and you can have a great day. Awesome job today, guys. Hopefully, assignment's pretty easy.